Hey, how are y'all? You having a good day? Let us know. So this is about, I want to share something with you about, I'm talking with brethren about watching signs, watching signs of the rapture and things. Could I just give this message in telepathy instead of using this medium? Still trying that. Could we just use telepathy to talk to the entire body of Christ? I don't know. So anywho, while I'm still working on that and seeing if that's real, don't go crazy on that. Just never mind that. Okay, I'm just gonna fire out some points here. Some people say that the watching is harmful. But no, I got an idea. Here it is. Yeah. Since I don't have a community tab, I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna write this. It's a much better writer. Some days can't speak that well. No, look in the description and comments box, but I'll just give a light speaking on it. But the speaking I'm doing here is not anywhere near as good as the writing will be in the description box and comments section. So the video begins now. Start the message. Okay. First, the intent of this message is to just help people out with some understanding, and mostly understanding among each other, among the body of Christ, to help us understand each other. And the main intent is you may want to be slow. I'm a little concerned. You may want to be slow at how you talk about something, of course. It can be understood if you don't really understand it. We're getting into another topic with that too. That analogy. So to fire off some points here, some say the date setting, quote unquote date setting, and all that, the watchmen stuff, is what I'm gonna call it, is like a roller coaster. I mean, some even go as far as say it's an idol and things like that, which I'm gonna break down as how you should really be careful of you saying that about your brethren with us, that it's not an idol, So anyway, I'll tell some of them sometimes, well, some may be doing that, some may be doing doing it wrong, but some of us are not. And my main point is to make sweeping generalizations about all watchers just because some may do it wrong. It's not wise. That's point number one. Point number two, and some get this, some don't, but point number two is I notice some people, anytime they see like a video, let's say, that has a date to it, it says, oh, look at what this happened on this date here. They quickly assume, oh, you're date setting. When some people do, I'll get on that later, that I kind of try to correct my fellow watchmen that, I listen to and talk with and stuff on that. I'll get to the point that we're not really watching, setting dates for the rapture if you're doing it right, but we're really watching for what is commonly just called the tribulation, or Daniel's 70th week, because that does have signs to it. Some people say, oh, the rapture doesn't have signs to it, it's a mysterious event, a mysterious church and everything, there's no sign for it. Yeah, to properly watch, you're not really watching for the rapture, you're watching for signs. And most of them signs are what points to Daniel's 70th week. And if you believe in a pre-trib rapture, well then it's easy to understand that rapture would be before, about the same time. I believe about the same time the day of the Lord starts is the rapture myself. So if there's signs for that, which I believe that there is, then you're getting a time frame. You could see the time frame. To what many of us believe. So with that, point number 2 is sometimes people just give a sign that, like, look at this, look what's happening here, look what I found here, and if it has a date attached to it, they all, some say, oh, your date setting. No, this is just a sign that happens to have a date to it. Now, if there's some watchers that do say, and there's ones that I listen to that good one, and there's good ones, and I just let it go most of the time. Like Return of the King channel, he says the rapture will be on this date. No, man, I would correct him. He's like, no, you're not trying to pinpoint a day for the rapture. That's not what. He has good watching signs on it. He has good info on his channel. Really good stuff. Not like, some people say God's roadmap to the end. No, he gets a lot of things wrong. He gets the harvest wrong and everything. I've tried to tell him before many times. I tried to tell him Kim Peters was what he was doing. It was wrong, but he wouldn't listen. And that's another point right there. I guess we make it point 3. Just because some people have had wrong theology and I don't know, the David Coverstones and stuff. Yeah, that is point 3. You're labeling them all into the same group as like, oh, look, they're Mark Taylor and David Coverstones and stuff. Which when they came out, I spoke against them because I could tell they wasn't speaking by God, right? So, but they're not all the same. There's different, just like there's fake Christians and real Christians, right? Okay. And by the way, I hope you bear with me while I'm getting my instead of sea legs. See, look, while I get my talk legs, because I haven't talked no one here to talk with for a long time. You'd be surprised how your skills for talking is harmed. But it'll get better and better the more I do this stuff. So if I make another video, it'll be even better. But the point was number 3. Don't label all watchmen together and generalizations like that. And even the good ones, like the ones I listen to, and like God's roadmap to the end's a good example of that. He may have some interpretations that I disagree with, but that doesn't mean. Some of them you throw all of it out. Like when I heard David Coverstone, no, I'm throwing everything he says out. Mark Taylor and all that stuff. Kim Clement, I'm throwing everything they say out. But some you don't throw. You look at the signs themselves. Even if the person commenting on it is saying some things that not right. Heck, some of them you can mute the dang thing, and just if you objectively see it. And okay, go ahead. That's point 4. It'll be point 4 is you really be titled subjective thinking versus objective thinking. These are not in any order. I really didn't want to do that one yet, but I'm just going as it comes here. So this has to deal with, it's kind of an analogy. If there's any, now this is an analogy. It kind of reminded me of trying to convince some good brethren. I love them and they're wonderful, and I'm going to get on that a little bit too. There's some things that we have to learn from some of them that don't see watching like we do. They say, oh, watching's just 100% about your relationship, just staying close with Jesus, and that's watching. Well, that's good points to that, but I don't believe that's all what watching is, preferably. But go ahead and knock that point out. If someone, let's say there's a good brother, I ain't going to name him because, there's a good brother I listen to. He does live sometimes and stuff. He's got all his theology right. Theology, is that it? Doctrines, he teaches everything right. Good brother, he's nice, everything. But he found that the rapture option just to be a roller coaster, right? And it wasn't good for him. This is kind of the main point as well. major point here. If it's not good for you, but really want to end with this, if it's not if it's not good for you, well then yeah. If it hurts your relationship, if it lets you down, if you find it a roller coaster, just a bunch of letdowns, well then you need to do either one or two things. Either stop that roller coaster that's harming you. Sure, I understand brethren that do that. Or, which is really my closing statement, or watch better. Now it's up to you, and I can't tell you what to do with that. But the number one thing, that's why I don't get mad at brethren that doesn't see watching like we do, because yeah, as long as you got the number one thing, if you're good on your relationship with Christ and just walking with Him daily, well then you're golden. You're going. You'll be going anyway, so it's okay. I'm not coming against the way that they see, but I'm trying to help them see, that not all this watchman things that you see is bad. Okay, I'm going to break this up into another part. Okay. Point 4, objective thinking. It reminded me of, if you know about geocentric flat Earth, if you don't, then disagree, or whatever you got to do. But if a person knows, you can think theoretically with me if you want. If a person knows about geocentric flat Earth, sometimes they'll notice that, well, they try to tell, they try to teach, they try to share it with, brethren in Christ. That's pretty much all I talk about on this channel. I'm a minister to the brethren channel when I do actual real videos like this one. And even smart ones, they could be smart. Doesn't mean that they're dumb. There's different types of intelligences, and then there's knowledge, and there's wisdom and understanding. It's 4 different things, and different types in that, and so forth. So they'll try to tell it. So they'll notice that some people just have a hard time accepting it. Have a hard time, getting there in their mind. And I could think of, excuse me, I could think of some people, the way it usually goes is, well, if you could download it all into their mind at one time, just like entire download, it'd probably work. They'd probably be like, whoa, shock them or something, but it'd probably work. But since you can't do that, you try to just barely stream them some knowledge. Or intellectual facts, and as you start to do that, you gotta give them bits and pieces at a time. Many people go, whoa, stop, no, I don't want to hear it, or some brethren go like, oh no, I'm not worried about that. No, it doesn't have anything to do with this or that. It's not ultimately needed. Let's not argue about that. And that's another point, trying to help someone, see something, doesn't mean you're arguing with them. And that goes to call this 4B. Another sweeping generalization is when some, good brethren now, some good brethren are saying, well, I've seen people use that as to divide the body of Christ, and some accusations that, while on some accounts could be true, but you can't just, if somebody just mildly starts bringing it up or something, you can't automatically say that about them. I mean, come on, I don't think I have to explain all that, right? Isn't that pretty evident? And change of plans, I'm probably not going to write it in the description and comment box. I need to for personal reasons, I need to get used to talking. I'm just going to try to talk it. Okay. Speak it if you're, an intellectual that needs proper words and grammar all the time. And so anyhow, you find, or at least I find, I just talk about myself and my experience. I find, there's some good brethren, smart people in other areas and stuff, that the way I've seen it, the way I've noticed it at least, is some people doesn't seem to be that good at objective thinking. And laying aside is like, well, you think it's a different part of, you think it's a distraction or something. That's another part. It doesn't have to be a distraction. That's another part that I'd like to do. It's like, you got time in the day. Some people say, well, Christ is my everything. That's the only thing I have time to think about. But you might have a hobby with plants or something, and sometimes you want to, maybe you'll see a video. It's like, well, how do I get this to grow better? Not 100% of your thoughts are, come on now. Honestly, you're kind of using that as an excuse to say that such a subject, just bringing up a subject, bringing it up in the right way, not the wrong way, not the ones that bring it in the wrong way. Not talking about that. You can bring up a subject of getting to know things, of knowledge, without it being a bad thing. You do so all the time. And so, back to the point, I think it seems some people's minds are just there's two sides of that. Some people think it's divisive, but if they really look at someone presenting it to them in the right way, okay, they don't have that excuse anymore, right? Or reason. I think I'll call it excuse. Okay, they're not being divisive with it. They're just, sharing something with you in the right way. Maybe the subject comes up or something, or maybe somebody brings it up. I don't know, just personal thought of mine. It seems like, and like going through not just school, but after school, you talk with people, friends and stuff about some things, and some people's mind have a harder time being objective. Just I call it a scientific mind. True science, not fake science, an actual scientific mind. Like some people wasn't good at science, but some people were good at other things. So my point with all that is, it kind of reminds me of when you, in the right way, try to share a lot of rapture signs with people. A lot of them seems to be best suited, maybe, because you got to look at them with an objective mind. It's best suited for someone that, I ain't going to say even ability, I think everyone can. We have a sound mind in Christ, everyone can, but they just, don't like to. And if you're not looking at it, some signs objectively, and it, true scientific type of mind of manner, well then, yeah, it could be a problem, or it could be maybe a distraction to you, or be kind of like noise to you. You're not really getting it, and that's okay. Yet again, I'm not mad at any brethren that's, if they don't like watching signs, that's cool. Like I say, I can think of a good brother, he thinks it's a roller coaster. That's fine, you're going anyway. So, but when I have to speak up is when you, again, really the main point of this is why I have to speak up is sometimes I hear them making sweeping generalizations about it, and they're not really understanding totally. I don't believe they're understanding what they're talking about, and it's not good to generalize the brethren that are watching in the right way. So okay, that'll be point number 5, watching in the right way. Some good brethren say that true biblical watching isn't looking at these signs that people are telling you and stuff. It's just partaking of Christ in your life with Him on a daily basis. Now that is the number one thing, and like I said, if you do that, you're golden. But I don't believe that's all of what we call watching is. Although if you only do that, you'll be fine. Again, just the point is, be careful not to speak against the brethren that are what I'm going to present as properly and more, shall we say, fully watching. I think of one that says it pretty good, a channel. I don't agree with everything that they say, but I gotta add it to them. They find some stuff that if you objectively look at it, you're like, well, that you can objectively see that can't be coincidence. And I can't convince you on this. You'll have to watch and search for the things, kind of like the flat earth thing. I can't just, you have to search it out yourself. But if you do, you find out, well, this is not coincidence. And then you ask yourself, well, is this of God? And then you see one sign that you're like, well, that was interesting. That wasn't coincidence, and that looks like, it's very interesting. And then you see another one, and then you see another one, and ones that fit with it. And if you really search it out, you'll start to see what many of us are talking about. But that channel I mentioned was Hourly Watch. Yeah, don't agree with everything, but they find some really good things. I believe they're blessed in that. Nothing that the rest of us can't find, but I'm saying, they do some good work with that. And what I'm saying is, with them, they that couple there, they say something that I really like. We're watching where Jesus told us the signs would be in the sun, moon, and the stars, and I agree with that biblically. I do agree and believe that in Genesis, those, and if you look at it, if you just look at the signs and then pray about it and think about it. Why did God make those things? Is he using it as his timepiece? I can't convince you of that. You have to go to God with that. But personally, I do believe that. And it's not only that, by the way, but I brought them up to say that, to make a point, that is a way of watching. But it's not only the sun, moon, and the stars. There's fake dreams and visions, and there's real dreams and visions. I don't really get them that much, but I believe he has given some brethren some, and it's for you to personally discern it. But there's more than that. The ones that speak to me the most are the cycles. And again, as I said in point 1 or 2, no, you're not watching. You're not trying to pinpoint the day of the rapture, but you're seeing these signs. And what I've corrected some of the watchman community about, try to help them out, is that, at least for the most part, what we're seeing is there are actually, I believe, signs for the rapture, but that's you have to search with God and pray with God about that. That's kind of personal. But many of the objective signs is it's showing you when Daniel's 70th week is, when this dispensation is over. It's showing you so many things like that. And if you believe in a pre-trib rapture, well then, if you see the trib coming, you see Daniel's 70th week, the way I like describing it, coming, well then, you know that it has to be soon. What do you think about the parable of the fig tree? For me, it's just one of many. I don't base everything on it, it's just one of many signs. And these are signs. These ain't the city themselves. But they're signs. Surely I don't have to explain that either. But me, I really get into the cycles and timing, like 120 jubilees and things like that. And another thing, not everyone that's watching is not all of us are sensationalists in that. For instance, I think about when the Y2K thing was happening. I told everybody, no, it's nothing. And the Mark Taylor thing, he was, it was pretty hot when Trump just got in there. I said, no, Trump's on his way out. Those people, they're teaching something I don't know what's going to happen to Trump in the future, but I knew he wasn't going to get next presidency, and I knew what they were talking about was, they were having some kind of NAR agenda. And of course, the point is not about any one of us, but anybody could, just ask God about it, ask for discernment, and you'll see when someone's talking falsely. And of course, ask for discernment if it's a enemy seducing spirit, of course, or if it's not, or point with that is we're not all sensationalists who just want to believe any wild story that somebody comes out with. That's not the case. I said not all, but I'm gonna wrap up this part 1, and maybe in the next part I'm gonna actually get to some actual signs themselves. I'm gonna kind of wrap this up, and do we have things to learn from like some of us what may be called watchmen? I'll just call it that. We have things to learn from things we could learn from those who don't see watching like we do. You know what I'm saying, right? And another thing to share is I believe 1 John 3, chapter 3, verses 1 to 3. You look at verse 3, and he who has this hope in himself purifies himself even as he is pure. Well, we could talk on some more about that later, but to me, that at least speaks of it's good to have this hope. And for a lot of us that are doing the quote-unquote watching, so I really need to speak more on this point number 5, the next part. A lot of us doing so actually helps us with our walk with God daily. Can it be a hindrance? Sure. Yeah, if you're not doing the number one thing, if you're only focused on an event and not the person of Jesus Christ, yeah, your daily. I admit I've been subject to that. I gotta remember to pray daily, especially to the things I'm going through, and to just rest in Jesus, and not even having to do with the rapture. Just getting through daily life. I mean, yeah, you have to do that. I mean, it's good for you to do that. But also, I believe many of us, like me, for instance, I look at like 1 John 3:3, for instance, and I believe it actually helps me to think on this hope, to think on Titus 2:13, our blessed hope, especially. I know I'll use this in a different way, so much the more as we see that day approaching. I know I kind of use that in a different way, but I believe it flows there. But there's a good part with that, so much more as we see that day approaching. That means we can see that day approaching. So that is a good point. But that's the end of this one. I'm going to catch you on the next part. Have a blessed day. Talk with you later.